adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Welcome to No Snooze Podcast, episode 13, and we are recording from a pod.
Yes, Epi 13.
Epi 13.
Epi 13.
We made it.
This is a big one because we are officially recording from our first sponsor.
Yes.
Right. Why don't you tell everybody about where we're at right now?
So there is a very popular and talented architect in Greenwich, and he does work all over the place. But Rich Granoff of Granoff Architects, we're actually in his building, 330 Railroad Ave, which is just off Greenwich Avenue.
Very convenient to the train too.
Convenient, efficient, effective.
Knocks off all three.
Beautiful.
And you know that is part of the no snooze mentality right there.
Yes, and they took this old dilapidated building, completely decked it out. It looks way too expensive for us to do, but it's a sick setup. And this is like a $30,000 pod or whatever they said.
Yep.
It is airtight, and CV is outside of it, which is incredible.
Yep.
But they do have co-working space available, so if anyone is interested, they have some good companies here, some private equity, hedge funds, and then now No Snooze.
Right.
So we just snuck right in.
That we did, and that was you, man. And again, that plays to the whole like relationship piece and us just building confidence through our own networks, and then partnering and bringing value to others, because they might not have the access to a following like ours, you know, in terms of our age group and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it is valuable, and anybody who's, you know, if you're a startup, that's one thing. If you're an established company, that's another. There's space in here for everybody. So
yeah, and you're
really
not limited by your resources.
Right.
You're limited by your resourcefulness.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite new quotes. I think it was a dime or a mantra at some point.
Yeah.
I'll take credit, even if it wasn't mine.
That's good. So thank you, Granoff Architects.
Yes, Granoff and Jeff, his partner.
Yes.
Appreciate it. We met both of them, and we had some funny laughs.
Yeah,
so
we did.
Good crew.
We got to get them on the pod.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we can fit everyone. I might have to stand outside.
We're podding
now.
from the pod.
Yeah, this is the first pod.
Right, pod. Nice, kid. So I am going to go ahead and use a term that you like. We're going to punt away. Jesus. We're going to punt away the pod, and we're going to go with a Prego update.
But
no, you punted 3 weeks in a row.
I'm back, though.
I'm
back.
Now you're back?
Listen, sometimes you have to punt to get the field position.
Listen.
And you get them deep in their territory, and then when it comes back to you, you're ready to go. Start lifting again.
Nothing against punters.
We don't have to talk about it. Start lifting and feel great.
Nothing against punters, but that would probably be your position in football too. Yeah. We already know you're the mortar man in
yeah, Jesus, I'm getting killed
in the
by this
military,
podcast.
and you're a punter now.
Maybe it was that episode that motivated me to start lifting again, because I was like, maybe it's just I don't fill this out right.
Your shoulders, I see it in the camera view too. It looks good.
Probably the lens.
Looking nice and wide. So let's go Prego update.
Okay.
We are 25 weeks in now, and it's starting to get real for both of us. Not that it hasn't been real, but it's getting even more real because we both booked our baby showers. We registered for the baby shower in terms of the gifts and stuff. So like everything is starting to come to the house now, right?
Yeah. How did you register? Did you go in person?
We did both.
Okay.
Yeah. And wasn't there one day that we spoke and I was like, hey guys, I'm in I don't know if I was in Bye Bye Baby or Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh yeah, I'm here too.
Yeah. So I want to hear about your experience at Bye Bye Baby.
Pottery Barn I can speak on. That's where
Pottery Barn. Tell me about Pottery Barn.
Okay, so full disclosure here, I did the full walk through the entire store.
Yeah.
Right. I said a couple things. I added my input, and I was with my mother-in-law and my wife.
So it was you, mother-in-law, wife. Any people following you?
Yes,
helping you out?
We had a person with a scanner, so she was teaching us how to scan. So I did the one time through. Then I found a recliner.
Okay.
Once I found that
caught
recliner,
on that too.
No. Once I found the recliner, that was it. I tapped out and I just sat on the recliner for the rest of the time. But I went through and made sure that I gave my input on the important things.
Which were?
They handled all the details.
What were the important things?
So the important things were we wanted really neutral colors, right? And this is something that we both went back and forth on, but we don't want to be too like foo-foo with the girly stuff. We didn't want, everything pink or any specific color. So we went all pink.
We did gray too.
So yeah, we did the grays, the lights, the whites, the nudes. So once
nudes? What's a nude?
Like the nude color.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I was like, what?
You're sick.
No. So you went all neutral on that. That was important, the color. And did you do the baby stroller? Did you talk about that with the guy or the girl?
Well, yeah. I mean, these strollers are the most expensive things that I've ever seen.
It's insane.
Literally $1,000 stroller. Never heard of it in my life.
It's insane.
But I did do something that you would have liked. My wife should have videoed it too, but she was too embarrassed.
You're tough to shop with.
When she saw me, I took out the mattress that they want to give my daughter and I put it on the floor, and I laid on it just so I can feel what it's gonna feel like for my daughter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I hope your daughter doesn't come out as big as you. Because that'd be awkward.
That would be terrible.
But the reason I ask is, I don't know your experience. How long did it take you while you were registering? Start to finish?
2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours. Sounds about right.
Yep.
So Dana says to me, put it on your schedule. We're going to go Sunday. So I worked all day, did an open house, standing the whole time. And I'm like, how long is this going to be? We'll get some dinner after. We started at 3:30. So she's like, it's an hour and a half. I went with my mom. We know kind of what we want. Mm-hmm. We roll in, and I've never been so overwhelmed with how much baby clothes and equipment I've never seen before. No. Pumps. The pumps blew my mind.
We got to try those pumps, by the way.
Insane. Yeah, you might actually get something out of them. So we go in, and she's like, Dana's like, yeah, usually someone helps you. And Dana did research, but I didn't do any. And she was kind of learning as well. So we're both kind of oblivious. So they see that and they try to come help.
Right.
So we had, I'm not exaggerating, it was a pack store. We had 4 employees walking around with us.
Walking around with you guys.
Showing us every feature of everything we could look at. And, this is the baby sleeper for 10 minutes when you need a shower. And I'm like, 10 minutes? What, 10? I'm going to spend that much for 10 minutes? So, and parents, maybe I'm wrong here, but there was like 45 different pieces of equipment that we went through.
And the technology is insane.
It's insane. The stroller area, we were there alone for an hour and a half.
Right.
Just the stroller area.
Yep.
My brain was exploding, but in my head, I'm like, you know what? Just say yes to everything because we could always take it off.
Okay.
So we got to a point about 2.5 hours in where I just said yes to everything, and I just kind of lost it. I was like, the guy's like, oh, you want this, like these mirrors for your stroller so your baby can look at the baby behind him? Throw it in.
That's good. Yes, I want that.
But at the end, I was so like, I feel like my hair and my gel came out of my hair. I was just sitting there like I was in a wind tunnel.
It is a little overwhelming, but it's a fun experience, and you could tell how into it the women are, which it just excites us. You know what I mean? Like they're super excited about it. But the technology piece is insane. I know for our parents, it must be different because
they didn't have any of this.
There was nothing like this.
Yeah.
And I originally thought no shade anywhere, but I really thought we were gonna like just register at like Target. I didn't really know about this whole like bye baby. It's a thing. So that's that.
And what I'm realizing is they have you because if you say no to stuff, then like, you don't want the best for your kid.
Exactly.
And you're like, it's a little awkward.
Right.
They were great, loved it there, but it's a lot.
No,
and I'm way more stressed about preparing the house than I was before going.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing is now us getting the nurseries ready.
Yeah, Christ.
All right, okay, on to No Snooze recommendations.
Yes.
Okay, so this week, and I don't know if for you, but like I go through my week now and I'm like, wow, okay, what's gonna be the thing that I recommend? Because I want it to be something that like I really use.
Yeah.
So I've always had this issue with my gym clothes, right? You already know the time we go to the gym in the morning. Well, excuse me, time I go to the gym in the morning. I don't know where you go at 5:30 in the morning these days, but
I'm gonna have to do live videos in the morning. I'm just gonna do a live.
I'm
as
calling
I'm going
Equinox
to the gym.
and I'm gonna say, hey, Knox, look, is Mike Pirelli there or not? I'm gonna do it live for people.
I'm gonna get the guy who I see every morning, Alex Sanso, and be like, Alex, you need to
video
comment.
Me.
Yeah.
Proof.
Yeah, maybe I'll get him to do that.
Right, I like that. So my recommendation this week is off of an issue that I've always had, right? And I sweat so much. I believe
But you don't smell.
Right. No, I don't smell. But
which is bizarre.
I believe it has to do with the water intake per day, right? Like I have this theory.
It's got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere, so it goes out. But my clothes are drenched, and there's some days, like after cycling, you can wring it out, but then I got to put that in my gym bag, and then it sits in my car all day until like 8, 9 o'clock at night, right? So it's a really long day, and then over time, if it's the wicking material, it starts to stink, right?
Yeah,
so,
you're saying that.
Yeah, and then you got to just like replace it, whatever. I went on Amazon and I'm like, babe, we gotta find something for this. And I've been talking about this for a while now, like trying to figure something out. But turns out on Amazon they have these things and they're basically waterproof wet gym bags. So it's a little bag that you put inside your gym bag and it doesn't allow any water out. So you put your nastiness in this one bag.
It's nasty.
Right, and then you put it in your gym bag, but nothing else gets wet.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't get my shoes nasty. It doesn't get anything else that's in my gym bag at the time wet.
And do you keep your work clothes in a separate bag, or they're in the gym bag?
They're in the gym bag, right? But
Got
I also bring it in a hanger too. Exactly. So that's me, and it's 2 for $15 on Amazon, and it was actually a problem solver for me, so I'm excited about it.
I love that. Is it a brand that you want to shout out?
Not one specific. It was really just waterproof wet bags, and I think there was a
beautiful opportunity for us to slide right in.
The
No
I
Snooze
could see
bag.
a No Snooze logo on that.
Yeah. That's we'll contact them after.
I like that.
I like that.
What do you got for us?
So because I also lift weights now, and I'm hitting the gym hard, sweating often.
CV is laughing.
I might need one, so the 2 for, you have an extra?
Yep, I do.
I appreciate it. It's very nice
Gotcha.
of you. My recommendation this week is an Audible book, and I'm big on Audible because it takes me like 4 days to cruise through books because I'm always in my car. So
Wait, 4 days to go through an audiobook.
Audiobook.
Gotcha.
So my trick is I put it at 1.5, and part of me thinks that that's why I'm speaking quicker now, but it also trains the brain to receive things faster. Yeah, you probably miss out on some stuff, but I enjoy it because they cruise and your brain just starts working faster.
Okay. So is your recommendation to put it on 1.5 or is
Recommendation is to put 1.5, and I'll shout out a book that I loved, which is called The Obstacle is the Way. Ryan Holiday, who is a stoic, I guess
Yep.
is the term. He practices stoicism, which is basically, how you react to things and making sure you're not overreacting.
You quoted him the other day, right?
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
So the quote was, you cannot control what happens to you, you only can control how you react to it.
Right.
Which is very good and applicable. I've had a little bit of a temper problem in the past, and usually not at work, but at home. And not that it was a problem, but there's times where you snap, and it's that thick Italian blood that we got.
Yeah.
But it's great. I love the book. It's amazing.
I like it.
Almost
and
done.
That's one that I haven't read, so I'm gonna.
I think you'd like it.
Is
It's
there a way
very
you
good.
can share your audiobooks with me so I don't have to pay for them?
You might be able. So the
can-
only reason I usually don't use Audible, but I forgot that I had a free trial, and it charged me 7 months of free books, or not free books, 7 months of books. So I canceled it and then bought 7 books. So I'll look into it, but you can also check on your local library, and you
Okay.
can sometimes download stuff for free.
Nice.
And it goes right
I'll
to
give you a
Overdrive.
wet bag if you give me that Audible book. That's our trade-off.
Yeah, that works.
Right.
I'll put it in the wet bag.
Right. So the Anchor Analytics,
Yes.
right, these days
Wild.
are like really, really good for us. So there was a list of countries now that have tuned in, and it's not astronomical, but I know we like to focus on like some certain progress, and this will be the first time CV's hearing this too.
Yeah.
But obviously the United States has tuned in, and Puerto Rico is, a part of the United States.
Because you were
so
grabbing
we won't
people's
count
phones
it.
and
Right,
downloading
in Puerto
everything.
Rico I was just downloading. But we also have Ireland, Australia, which we spoke about, Antigua and Barbuda, Spain, which was CV.
Yeah, CD was just traveling
Right.
around.
South
listening.
Africa, France, Germany, and Canada.
Oh my God, France listened.
Right? So they
That's-
must have heard my French.
And then it connected.
Oui.
Yeah.
Right?
It was
So
good.
is that not pretty cool though?
The French thing kind of scares me because if someone watched that, they'll be mortified.
They're probably like, you're a terrible French speaker.
Yeah.
All right, so that was that piece. Now on a serious note, we would be ignorant to not mention what's going on around us and around the world right now with this coronavirus, right? But it is just insane what's going on. And I don't want to get into like, who started it and but the fact that we are located like right in one of these hubs, as they're calling it, is just ridiculous. I've never seen anything
Yeah.
like this.
It's something that we've never experienced in our lifetimes, and it's interesting to be in it and see how everyone's reacting to it and how it affects everything.
Right.
It's a real bizarre situation. So
And there's really no words for it, man. It's scary, and it's getting scarier every day.
Yeah.
But right here in Westchester County, especially, we're in Greenwich right now, but where I live is Westchester County, and it's got the most cases in New York so far. So it's weird to see where this is going to go. Hopefully they have a vaccine for it soon.
yeah,
But it's just, I don't know, man. I'm praying for everybody who is affected by it,
definitely. And then on the trying to learn from every experience, something that's really not important, something that you can learn while this is all happening is see how the market's reacting.
Right.
Because it really shows you how emotion drives prices, and people, because of the fear, have stopped traveling, stopped buying tickets, and moving around within the markets. So that obviously profit goes down, creates more fear. People pull money out, which creates kind of this downward cycle. So it's interesting because you could see economics really at work.
Yeah.
So, I don't know when this comes out, if it would have rebounded by then, but it's something to watch.
What, our episode?
No, when this comes out, if the market will plateau.
1 week from
I don't
now
know.
is pretty much when it'll come out. No, it's a good point, man. And even on our level, in local government, you have the option and the opportunity to basically invest money, through whether it's a 403B, 457. So you can look at those analytics and see how it's going up and down. I'm literally right now, I don't even look at it because I know what's going on.
Yeah.
So if people aren't mindful of it, they need to be. Man. So prayers there, and hopefully everything gets better.
Nice.
All right, man. So Epi 13, we chose to focus on mentorship.
Yes.
Right? And this is something that now I'm seeing is really coming full circle for me, because now I have an opportunity to mentor, the young kids around the job, but I've also taken a couple mentees under my wing that are, 20 to 25 years old. So we're very close in age, but I have a really good opportunity now to kind of pay that whole thing back. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be interesting to see how we basically talk about our mentors thus far, maybe give a tip here and there on how we kind of established who was going to mentor us, and just kind of bounce back and forth just like we do.
Yeah, and something I was thinking about was that when we were younger, we played a lot of sports that were organized and you had coaches.
Right.
Right? Obviously you have your parents and you have parents' friends and older siblings. Yep. You didn't have an older sibling.
Right.
I did, so I was mentored by my brother, but when you're younger, you have the coaches, so you have kind of these natural occurring mentors, whereas when you get older, you have to go seek them out.
Yes.
So it's a little different.
Right.
And I had some good coaches growing up, but you're so young that a lot of that stuff isn't super applicable other than, personality,
right,
and being a good person and values.
Right.
Then when you get older, it's more mentorship on how to do life,
yep,
how to navigate things. And it's really interesting. And now I'm, with the baby on the way, and I know I've mentioned this a couple times, getting worried about mentoring a child.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any younger siblings. I say it all the time, but now you're starting to realize that. And then in addition, in my position at work, I'm the low man in the totem pole. Usually everyone's mentoring me, and we have a new girl that just started working. She's great, but now I'm trying to mentor a little bit and help out, and it's tough. It's different.
Oh yeah, no, of course. But that's a good point. Your family members, your parents, your grandparents, your cousins, your coaches when you're younger. There's different stages of like mentorship. Yeah. Now we have an opportunity to discuss something like this, which is really cool, because it really got me thinking. And when you were younger, I remember latching on to like a couple people, but moving past like the coaches phase, I remember my first real mentor was this guy, Kevin Cook. Right, and it's
Great
funny
name.
because he actually listens to the pod.
Oh yeah?
Right, so we're gonna see if he listens to this episode. But he was one that he didn't even really know he was mentoring me, but me and Nick Arbab, right, we used to work at a basketball camp together. And there always used to be this guy that would come in, and we knew we were like camp counselors or whatever. We were 15, 16, 17 years old. And there was this guy, Kevin Cook, and he would come in and he was like the boss, and he had a full-time job doing this, but come to find out, he was in the field of parks and recreation, right? Which is what I basically do now on a local government level. But he really took us under his wing and just dropped some gems along the way. But it was always something that I'll never forget, when no matter how close you got to Kev, and I'm very close to him to this day, he always took business on a different, it was a different level. And what I mean by that is you had your personal relationship with Kev, but then he was able to separate it. Whereas that was the first time I remember, like, okay, you know what? Business is business. He would have meetings for, the staff that was in there. And again, we were just part-time staff members. But I remember at the time, and this is, 15 years ago now, and I don't know what the salaries are now, but I mean, it's a really good salary, it's a great life. So I was like, oh my God, I really look up to this guy. So he basically took me under the wing on, that's the first guy that I can remember in terms of my profession.
And do you remember asking him questions right off the bat? Do you remember just seeing him and be like, I like the way he carries himself? What was the...
Right, so there's like stages to it, because at first you don't really know what's going on. You don't know that this is a potential mentorship.
Yeah, you're kind of just looking at them,
but
like,
then
I like
he
their vibe.
saw that, and I this is what I believe, I don't know for a fact, I'll ask him, but I believe he saw that I had a genuine interest beyond just basketball camp, right? And every year I would come back, because it was only like a 4 to 6 week camp. So I would see him the next year, see him the next year, see him the next year. Then before you know it, now I'm 20 years old, and we were having conversations about like, so is this something that you think you'd want to do? And it's different levels that you looking back on it now, you can identify those and be like, wow, this was an actual progression of a full mentorship that happened. And we still work together today, which is so cool. Never told him that he was one of my mentors. I'm sure he obviously knows.
Yeah.
But even when I became the assistant commissioner, he always had a lot of respect for me. And there was nothing I could bring to him at that time in terms of value, which is big. Like, you should always be able to bring value to a mentor. But what I was able to do, which I think is a tip for people, is to take the job seriously, no matter what it is, at what level.
Yeah.
Take the job seriously, because the value to Kev at that time may be, I could have been one of his first mentees, you know what I mean? So now you're teaching him an additional level of leadership skills, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there is value in someone trying to mentor you because they're working through their own thoughts.
Yep.
And they say the best way to learn is to teach. So I think that's probably what he was approaching, or he just saw that you had a spark and wanted to be involved in it.
Right.
You know, the law of attraction, when you're enthusiastic and happy and into it and positive, people will get attracted to you.
Right.
So it's funny, I had Coach Tarantino,
Yep.
Coach T.
Coach T, yep.
That was around a lot with my brother and myself, and he just kind of taught you not complaining, work hard, the good foundation that I built today, in addition to my father and mom, which I could talk about, but I want to talk more about other people. And my brother, who set an amazing example. He was always very straight-laced, always did the right thing, which kind of I had to follow in his footsteps because I wanted to be like him.
Right.
But then you get into later in life, and I really was very enthusiastic about business, and I didn't align myself with a business mentor for a long time. And I don't know why that was. Maybe I just didn't connect at the right times. But then when I got into college and we started to do things like patent headphones, we connected with this guy, Eric Knight, who's still around today, still mentoring kids. And he was really integral. And I remember seeing him, and he came and I think he talked to our class, and he showed all of his inventions. This guy was the guy who invented, you ever see someone run with a parachute on their back?
Yes.
The parachute was what he called it.
I actually used that in training.
Do you? Me too.
Not now. When I was training athletes.
Yeah.
In performance training, that's a big thing.
So I specifically remember him talking about that, and I was like, oh, I have these ideas all the time. You know, we should just try to create one. So me and my buddy Adam, who I talk about all the time on here, went up to him after the thing and said, hey, we have this idea. The idea at the time wasn't the headphones, but it's called the Chase It. And Adam might be upset if I'm saying this publicly, because someone might steal it. But basically a way to chase, your drinks when you go out, because we were in college. So that was the thought process. Long story short, learning that process of trying to patent that, which we never did, led us to the patented headphones that we have today.
That's awesome.
Which, we have 17 years left on it, and I'm sure we'll do something eventually.
Yep.
But he poured himself into us because we were so enthusiastic and we asked a million questions.
Right.
And it was something he loved to do. So he loved to talk about it with us. And by talking with us about our stuff, it helped him work through some of his stuff. We actually sold him, or we gave him one of the patents that we actually filed because we got it to like 95%. For us, it didn't make sense, and he wanted to carry it through. So these relationships become more of a peer relationship at a certain point, which is amazing. And it was at college, but now we've both moved away. We don't stay as in touch, but every time we talk to him, we have these great memories of all these businesses we talked about, and it's great to see and check in with him. So shout out Eric Knight, Parachute.
I want to meet him.
Yeah, he's the man. We'll try to get him on this.
Yeah,
he's
man,
the nicest,
that sounds like a really good
nicest guy.
That's crazy. So that's like the next step of, I guess, mentorship there, because you basically just took us through college. But now, like when I was sitting back, and again, when we like create this outline, it just starts thinking. I was literally sitting in the parking lot before and coming up with, my talking points, because you just have to really identify like where you want to go in the conversation. And it's interesting to me now, somebody looking for a mentor, I think that's a big mistake. Look for many mentors.
Yeah.
Right? Identify one thing in your life and then establish a network in that one lane of your life, and that can have a mentor right now. Nick Arbab for both of us. I'm sure he's going to continue to mentor us in terms of the kid. I mean, he's a girl dad. He's been a girl dad for 7 years. Adriana just turned 7. And it's branching off, everything you do in your life. So you have like your motivational people that you look up to. You have your, in-person network. And I want to take you through a process that I'm actually doing now because I'm seeking a mentor right now. And I've been starting.
No call?
No call. No, but you're on the network. You're on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see the development of a mentorship, and taking all of the branches of life that you want to focus your energy on, and then identifying, one person per. So that right there is a big thing too, is don't look for just one. It's okay to have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, and I think it's morphed from having the one-on-one and you continually grow with each other, which you can still do, to more of being able to have your questions answered and getting tidbits from everyone. We're in a society where there's so much input that it's a lot more attainable to have a bunch of different inputs. But now it's much harder to filter through everything.
Right.
So one of the things that I'm sure we'll touch on again, but something that I think about a lot now is try to find mentors that are creating a life that you want, right?
Of course.
Just because the person's super successful, has tons of money, but doesn't have a work-life balance, and you want a work-life balance, might not be the right fit.
Right.
Because they're going to recommend certain things that will take you on a path off of where you want to go.
Right.
So if you take the wrong advice, I'm not saying be afraid of taking advice, but filter through, see who's saying it, and see how they carry themselves and how they built their life. And if it's something you want to emulate, then you could take it with more weight. That's something I think about constantly. Because everyone wants to mentor you, everyone wants to talk about themselves, people love it. So you're going to get a volume, especially if you're doing things like we've seen. People have constantly been reaching out to us with this. And some people are amazing. Some people are great, but obviously have a motive. So you just have to kind of figure out.
And filter through it. No, that's a really good point, man. And that's the first piece of my process. So I'm going through this right now. I'll try to explain it the best way I can, which is also a problem too, because when I listen back to these podcasts, sometimes I'm like, why did you just change your thought? Like, finish the thought all the way through. So.
Well, what my excuse for that all the time is my brain works faster than my mouth. And people just agree with that. So, yeah, that sounds right.
No, but it makes sense, and especially when you're sitting here, like right now, I'm trying to not think about other things and really lock in. And that's a real skill, man. But so being specific, and again, you hear it. We say it all the time. You hear it all the time. Being specific about exactly what you want in your life is always step one. And again, it doesn't have to be this huge drawn out thing, but if it's in fitness, identify one thing you want there. If it's in the finance world, identify one thing there. Real estate, your job, whatever it is, you need to identify those factors. Then from there, and I'm doing this now in a spreadsheet, right? Because Excel is pretty easy to use. And I'm branching off, and in terms of this project, I was able to establish a network through my own circle. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get to like a high level person that can be a mentor for us in this no snooze, world?
So I have a counter to that. So I like that, but I also think people get infatuated with, and I say infatuated all the time. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, and that's the right spelling, but anyway. So with getting to this like super high level person on whatever it is, where I think as long as they're ahead of you in a sense of just knowledge and maybe the path, it might be much more effective to get a couple of those people.
Right.
Because at some point you'll be able to get to their level, and then it becomes a peer, and then it becomes someone that not only is a mentor, but then eventually a colleague, and it scales. So and what kind of I've been doing is, when I got into, and I always use real estate, but that's my main focus at the moment. When I got into real estate, I found, Miss Claroni, who I've worked closely with on a ton of deals, which led me to assisting the owners of the company. So now I'm at this level where I'm kind of peers with them, but they're also mentoring me. And now I'm trying to find the next level of someone who does the local investments and does like commercial, high-level commercial. So you get to these levels and create these peers, which then connect you to your next mentor. That's not too far. It's the same concept, but it's less of a monster jump.
Yes.
Because I think I like to play the odds now, and the reason I got into real estate was because it is responsible for the most millionaires in the world. So I said, if I'm going to stack the chips in my favor and create this freedom, let me do something that's proven, and that is, because we went with this patent idea, and it's great, but the amount of deals that get licensed, there's a limited amount of companies that'll do that. I just don't like the odds anymore. I'll definitely pursue it still, but I was like, let me stack the odds, and by jumping to someone that's, instead of, I know what you're saying and I agree with it, but I think your energy might be better served to connect with someone that's just a step ahead, and then you speeds it up. And then maybe you get to that person faster anyway, because you're coming from the side, and they know that you're doing your own thing, and it's kind of like if you don't need them, they want you more.
Right. I have a really good example in terms of what you're saying at work, right? Like I remember before I was in the position that I'm in, I was being mentored just organically by commissioners. And I had said that on the last episode, I had like a really close relationship with those mentors at that time. Yeah. And then you become the assistant commissioner. Now the people in my room are a little bit different, right? So now the next step is moving to the county level.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I'm very friendly just on a personal level now with board members, people on like high level committees. Now that automatically takes me to the next room of that county. So now I'm already established in the county level. The next phase of that is the state level. But now me just being in a room with county officials, now all of a sudden state officials begin to walk in. And it's happened over this 5-6 year process from when I first got started. It's just wild to see. And I know you're gonna make a good point. We were talking about it before in terms of like the lightheartedness of it. And when you try really hard to go get a mentor, it's not gonna work like that.
Yeah. It's like dating. You just don't want to put a title on it because then it gets awkward. Maybe at some point they do it, but you don't want it. You just want to casually get mentored.
And can you ever go up to somebody and just be like, hey, do you want to mentor me? Like, I've never done that. That's weird.
No. And if you do that, people get very worried because they think when you say mentorship, it's time, energy, you're responsible as a person, it's success. Whereas if they're just giving you advice every once in a while and they enjoy doing that, it's something that they like to do.
I will give you a specific example. I remember in college, and I referenced Coach Scanlon on the last one, but Cody Moffitt was a mentor of mine in college. But I went to him and I basically asked him to mentor me, but I went with a piece of paper and it had the time frames that he was already free because I knew his schedule.
Yeah.
I knew his schedule. He was a grad assistant of ours for the team, so I knew his schedule. So I said, hey, Code, can you fit me in for a 15 to 30 minute conversation on these days, right? And I'm curious to know if he remembers this. I gotta actually call him on that. But it was something to me that I was like, wow, you know what? If I can give him certain time frames, because I know he's busy, I know he's got class here, I know he's mentoring everyone else on the team at the time. But if I can give you basically the time that you're free, it was something that was pretty valuable. And we ended up establishing a phenomenal relationship. That was the only time, so I contradict myself. But I asked him, will you mentor me?
But that's a different style of it too. Like you stood out. You didn't just come in and you did value, you had value and all that.
Right.
But it is a good point that the higher these people are, the higher you get up, the more busy everyone is.
Yes.
So you have to make it very efficient, and you have to really have a specific ask or some type of question where they can actually give you value and you can extract it quick versus like just having a 2-hour conversation with someone. If you want to do that, you go to the YouTube route and you just listen to all their stuff and get their general views on things.
Yeah, I mean, now it's so cool with technology. We'll get there too because I have like e-mentors. No, that's fine. I have like e-mentors as a thing. But I think it would be valuable to people. Let's establish some things that you need to provide to a mentor.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
For me, trust, the value like we spoke about, and then energy like you said.
Yeah.
Those are 3 things. Like you really don't need to do anything alarming. Like you might not be able to bring value in terms of like, oh, I can do this for you if you train me. But if you have an appointment with this person, show up early.
Yeah.
If you have, a time frame where you're not on their schedule, reach out to them if you know that they're busy and get on their calendar in the next month. Do little things that will establish a relationship that builds trust, and then every time you're in the room with that person, you better bring it.
Yeah.
And that's where the energy piece comes in.
Yeah, and I think you want to make sure that everyone likes to be heard, and if you're getting mentored, you want to show that you're learning and hearing them and picking up what they're putting down.
Yes.
Because then they feel more available next time because what I'm saying is actually working and they're actually using it and applying it. So like if someone tells you something, the next time you go, you better do whatever they said.
Like do the actual work.
Yeah, or they're just going to be like, all right, well, I gave him advice, he didn't do anything, so, why am I wasting my time?
Make a great point, and I can reference this back to work now. We just recently had a meeting, and I remember it was like this big brainstorm, right? And everyone was coming up with these great ideas that are phenomenal ideas. But instead of a mentorship being all these ideas, do exactly what you're saying. Come up with one thing that maybe the mentor comes up with, then the mentee better go after it and get that. And I tell us all the time, the three of us, right, when we're trying to like establish, okay, well, what's this going to look like in June?
Yeah.
And what do I always say?
Yeah.
Let's not look to June right now. We need to get through right now. We need to be in the moment. Let's figure out, okay, what's our topic for this week? And then we create an outline there. We'll worry about the next one. Of course, you always want to be mindful of your future, but live in the moment with that mentor or mentors.
Yeah. Yeah, and to add to your point, what's more effective if you go to someone and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing, what do you think? Or I did this thing, check it out, let me know your thoughts.
Right.
It's something physical they actually talk about versus a theoretical, whatever, t-shirt company or whatever you're going to do.
I could tell you right now too, because again, I'm in this position now to where I have a couple mentees under me, and this is advice for everybody out there. We're not even anywhere near where we're going in our careers, but we're already so busy as it is. So you better come with a timeline, right? And come with a proposal instead of just coming like, yeah, I'm open-minded, I want to be mentored. No, be specific about it.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything else at that time and what's going on in your life. When you're in that moment, you need to seize the moment.
But you have to see also what your mentor likes or whoever you're targeting. You got to see how they do business.
Well, I'm saying this off of you better already know that.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying
I'm going a step ahead of that.
Yeah.
So of course that's step one.
Well, I'm saying like if you know that your person you're trying to get questions answered from is all over the place and always doing this thing or always say, listen, I'll walk out with you.
Yep.
Because you can't get them down for 5 minutes in their office.
Right.
If they're in their office, they're answering phone calls. But if they walk to the car and it's at least 5 minutes, you say, hey, I'll walk to the car with you. Something I want to mention that's a little not off topic, it adds to it, but it's just something I wanted to say before, is I get excited when I'm in a room with people and they mention something and it goes over my head and it's within my industry, right? So like I was in a meeting and I was showing land and someone talked about a way to apply the land and then land bank it and get benefits through their taxes. And there was like 4 different levels to this conversation. And I found myself in my head trying to figure out what they were talking about. And I was like, the fact that I don't know what they're talking about is exactly where I want to be.
Right.
Like I know I'm in the right area because if I'm hearing stuff and my eyes glaze over, it doesn't get me excited. If I know there's this whole other level, it gets me fired up. So it's like you try to get to the people that make you uncomfortable because you have no idea what they're talking about and you want to go home and learn it. So next time you do, you can actually chime in.
Right.
Because it drives me nuts not to be able to chime in conversations. If you know what the hell's going on, you don't chime in. You just sit there and nod.
That's a great point, Mike.
You like that one?
No, I do. And there's so many times that we go back and forth, and then when I really lock into you, like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, man.
It's the eyes. It's my deep eyes.
It's good. But we're also in a very fortunate time, whereas like our parents didn't have this opportunity, our grandparents definitely didn't have this opportunity.
Yeah.
This whole technology phase in terms of your e-mentors, right? I'm just saying E for online.
The E's.
But
very hip.
But again, you have so much access to audiobooks, to YouTube, to podcasts. The No Snooze podcast is a very motivational podcast, I hear. Everybody should be listening to it, right?
I haven't heard it yet.
No, never. But it's identifying the little things that if you can't tap into anybody through your network in person, everything is available to you. Even Instagram, these minute clips these days.
There's no excuse anymore.
There's
Everyone's
not.
spewing a lot of advice, but that's the thing. You got to make sure you're listening to the right advice.
But you have to latch on to something that connects to you.
Yes.
I know we were joking before, but this podcast might not be for everybody.
Yeah.
It just might not be.
Yeah.
But go find somebody on Instagram if you only have a couple minutes a day and start following people who are in that track for you. Yeah. For me, you already know my inspirational guys. I have the Savage mode, the Dave Regina Savage mode. Don't look at me like that, man.
The No Snooze mode.
And that's when I'm like working out. That's my David Goggins. I listen to a lot of Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet.
Anyone with the last name Robbins.
They're not related, by the way.
Yeah.
Which I thought they were, for sure.
Did you really?
Yeah, of course. I don't know. But that you connect to certain people. Spoke about E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
When you connect to his message, but his delivery just might not be for everybody.
Yeah.
Certain times of day for me, I listen to certain people, and it's starting to identify those people and then following them through their journeys and going back on their Instagram page to see how they kind of got through this whole phase that we're in now. It's so valuable.
And if you are in a position where, I guess it can apply to anything, but if you're running your own business, anything you watch can apply to what you're doing. You're watching stand-up, the way they market the production, the way they build and tell a story, that's all things you need to do for work. Stories sell everything. So when I watch my stand-up specials that I love, I think about that stuff. I'm like, well, he runs his own brand. He's a personal brand. What does he do? Does he stay on brand every time? Does he switch up his show every month? When he's marketing, is he marketing just for stuff that isn't selling? Is he marketing the stuff that's already sold? Is he doing short clip videos? Are videos getting shorter because attention span's getting shorter? That's what I've really noticed, is that comedians are now front loading all of their big jokes that would have ended shows because people turn it off. So now they're uploading all their content and cutting them up into stories because people have short attention spans, and that's how the majority of their ticket sales are going. So that change in their industry applies to everyone's industry. You know, front load all your
you're doing a
content.
good job of picking that up, because that would have went right over my head.
But it's
know what
because I
mean?
listen to the podcast, and when the guy mentions something like that, you say, it's the lens. I'm creating this lens where everything I watch, I'm digesting it in a way that applies to my business.
That's a skill.
You don't have to do it everything.
That's a great skill.
You know, it's the biggest thing I've found from comedians is that they all run their own brand. So they are all self-employed. They have their hands in everything, which for me is the same thing, but it's how they manage all of it that really I start thinking about, and how I try to steal tips. But that was one of the biggest ones I heard lately, that you'll watch, next time you watch something, everything's to catch that attention so that you're locked in, and you watch the rest of the clip, and the clips are going from, a minute now to like 15 seconds. So their punchlines are faster, their jokes are shorter, they're tighter.
Yeah, and that's applicable right to something like we're doing.
Yeah.
That's a great tip.
And the other thing I want to mention about stand-up comedians, I don't know why I connect with them all.
Yeah, no, I don't know either, but I think it's dope.
Very bizarre, right?
But you're
It's
able,
weird.
but it makes sense, and you're applying it to something that I can't even relate to, which I would have never thought, because I don't watch comedy like that.
So here's something to think about, and I wonder if realtors think this way. But when you show a house, you're showing that same house maybe 50 times, right? You have the kind of normal way you go through it, and every time you go through, you adjust things depending on how people react. So I showed a property recently for like 70 times, and I was picking up on what jokes hit, and when I put a joke in, it's so that I get info out. So I'd say something funny, and then they start laughing, and then their wall comes down, and then I ask, oh, how many kids do you have? So you use it to get through the process of getting your info. But every time I go, I'm refining that, just like a stand-up show. You're refining it as you go through, and then by the time you show up the 70th time, you're so tight on showing it that the people are so locked into you that they want to get to the end of the show, and then you hit them with the closing, and then you hopefully sell that house. So it doesn't always work like that, but the more you show a property, the more tight it becomes, and it looks like it's the first time you showed it, when in reality, you've said this a million times. You've said that joke 50 times, just like a comedian. If a comedian's doing his job, it looks like he's very casual, it's his first time. He's done it a million times. So it's really interesting.
And you can apply that to anything. Like
Anything.
You're saying.
Yeah.
I expect comic realty to become a real thing, because I see
Stand up while you show houses.
I see a new opportunity in play here.
I don't know if you noticed when I was showing you properties, but like it was a little different because I was going out of my normal market, but you have to connect with people, and we're friends, so it was easy.
Yeah.
But if you're too uptight, people don't want to come back out with you.
Right.
Because it's unbearable. It's awkward.
No, you always do a good job at just lightening up the atmosphere, where sometimes I make it a little tense.
No, not that you make it tense.
Something I'm working on.
But do you find that you have a lot of the same conversations with people?
At work?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And you just kind of tailor it?
Yeah, of course. But that's like anything in life. You need to take feedback, and you need to take criticism sometimes.
Yeah.
Utilize it for your next conversation, because it might be a loss at that time, or you might fall That's not a failure to me. If you don't sell a house, that's not a failure, right? But if you sell it eventually, that was you falling down on the process to ultimately selling it. You know, and it's utilizing the process of the fall to sell the house, which makes it a success.
Yeah.
We'll debate that all the time.
The underlying theme of all this is self-awareness. So even when you're with a mentor, to bring it all back, understand what the mentor's thinking. You know, what do you want the mentor to think? How do you want them to react to what you're doing? You know,
it has to be organic and authentic, though, right?
Look organic and authentic, right?
Doesn't have to really be?
You can control it a little bit.
You're gonna be Fugazi Realty now?
No, you don't be Fugazi, but if, say we are, I'm trying to give a good example, say we are going to go sell a condo.
Yep.
And I want to get mentorship from you how to break into the condo units, right?
Not physically break in.
Dominate a condo complex.
Gotcha.
Right? And you are the king of dominating an area, and which helps you scale. And I come to the guy and I'm like, all right, how do I want him to think when I talk to them? Do I want them to want to team up with me? Is that my goal? Do I want him to join me in the process? Do I want him to just give me advice? Let's say I want him to join me, so then I can use his name so that I can have instant credibility with the whole complex. All right, if that's the case, then the next time I talk to him, I'm gonna have a mailer teed up with my info, his info, a letter to everyone in envelopes stamped and ready to go. And then I'm gonna go up to him and say, hey, listen, I really wanna start doing more condo work. I've sold one in this property, or I've sold one in this complex, but I wanna sell more. Would you like to co-broke with me on these properties? I got a mailer ready.
And here's this physical thing that I'm giving you.
Because they're busy, you wanna make it so easy to say yes that there's no reason they wouldn't. And he might, or she might not have joined me on that, but I made it so goddamn easy for them because I knew that I wanted to work with them and I knew I wanted the end result to be. So it's organic, but it's very planned out so that if he said no, whatever. You have all these addresses, you just switch out the flyer. So the worst case scenario.
Not that we compete in Epis, but I will hand this one over to you, sir, because you are giving it. You're very tactical right now, and I always love the application piece. But that example is like we're over here talking about value. Yeah. That was a beautiful example.
I got to do more of this too, obviously. Like I don't want people thinking that I'm going around and just randomly be like, hey, I want this condo. I got 55 envelope. You know,
I bet you some heavy hitters listen to this and they're gonna be like, "Where's my mailer? Where's my mailer?" No, I got you, man. So that was. I just want to be mindful of people's time for sure. But that was a beautiful. No. Like you told me last week, preach, brother, preach.
Preach.
We'll move into questies. This one is a quick one. Came in from JT.
Justin Timberlake listens to the show?
JT, and then the Instagram name was something. It's got to
be him, right?
Yeah,
How many JTs are in the world?
This one came in from Justin Timberlake. In a relationship, choose one. Passion or compassion? Why?
Definitely Justin Timberlake, because he would ask that question. Passion or compassion? I need definitions.
Quick.
Can you define it for me?
So when I saw it, I would definitely go compassion. And my why is because compassion, I believe, if I can feel for somebody, like if I can feel either bad for my wife.
Are we talking empathy?
What?
Are we talking more empathy?
It says passion or compassion. It doesn't say empathy or compassion.
The same words in both of them. That's
passion. That's too far, but so for me, it's compassion is the most important thing over passion because I see compassion as a way to get to passion. If I can feel for somebody and I can really feel for you and I can understand the situation that you're going through, I can then become passionate in the relationship. That's my answer. Go ahead.
Ditto. I agree. That was well said.
But okay, so you're
No, I agree with that. I think they are a lot of times together. I think you're passionate and compassion. If you're passionate,
it says choose one.
I know, but
and literally wrote in quick shot. In a relationship, choose one. Passion or compassion, why?
I'll choose compassion because everything you said made a lot of sense and I'm very influenced by you.
Oh my God.
Thank you for being my mentor on that question.
Awesome. So you know how we were just talking about before, like our brains are like doing different things at the time? So as we're talking about Justin Timberlake's question, something popped in my head. And I'm a little embarrassed about this one, but I have to make it clear. So I don't know if you remember when I spoke about the air fryer.
Where I specifically asked you Where'd you get the idea? Did you get it from someone?
Yes, and I made up this whole story, and I literally said, well, my wife and I, we were searching on Amazon, and it was a gift to ourselves, for the holidays. I'm looking at your face right now. It's hilarious. So I just want to apologize because I later found out that Erica bought us that air fryer. And Erica, I am sorry. You are a phenomenal human being. And we love that air fryer.
To back you up here, I have a question.
Yeah.
Was it unboxed and on your counter the first time you saw it?
Was it unboxed? Yes. I don't remember. No, but see, so it was for a housewarming.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was a housewarming, but that's why I got so confused because it was around the holiday time.
Yeah.
And there was one thing, it might have been a waffle maker or something that we went and bought ourselves. So I just got the two confused. But my wife was telling me, she's like, wait, I listened to that and you lied to everybody.
That's the toughest part. Is everything's recorded, so like.
But how bad is that?
But it's not lying. It's just
terrible. Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to bring clarity there.
So the air fryer was all your idea, and you guys got it for yourself. Perfect. Let's move on.
All right. So the next one came in from Steph. I get so overwhelmed by trying to figure out a workout routine. I'm overweight and got so out of shape since my divorce. Where should I start? Whew. You want me to go?
Yeah, you take this.
Yeah. Okay. So Steph.
Is she famous? Is this Stephanie we know someone?
No, this is not famous. Steph.
Do you know any famous Stephs?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't either. I was trying to think of
on. All right. So the first thing is definitely committing to the process. You getting in your head and you saying, you know what, I am going to do this. Okay, that's step one. And I tell this to everybody, if you're not fit right now for whatever's been going on in your life, that's cool. But I have like this mile challenge and I put it in front of people sometimes. And it's basically, once you commit to that process, you're starting to walk 1 mile a day. Because walking, everybody can do. And then, again, not everybody, if you're challenged in that way. I don't know how to politically say that.
Yeah, that's
correct. But you get what I'm saying. So it takes the average person 14 to 21 minutes to walk a mile. So I have this challenge.
I could do it in 10.
I don't think you're doing it in 10. I know you're the walk king or whatever. You're not doing it in 10. We'll put a side bet on that.
Dana bet that I couldn't run in under 7, I think.
Not happening. No. So for 2 weeks, I challenge you, Steph, to go out and walk a mile. Do not time yourself. Just log the distance, right?
I would say get a Fitbit too, because I know I like when I see the steps.
Nice.
It motivates you more?
All I'm saying is don't attach anything else to it. Yeah. Just go in for those 2 weeks and just commit to the process of walking 1 mile.
Yeah.
Then what I want you to do is for the next week,
listen to No Snooze every morning.
Well, that's a given. But also I want you to now start marking the time. So on that Monday when you start for week 3, that's your time frame. Then on Tuesday you have to beat. And remember, now we're 3 weeks into the process. So on Tuesday of week 3, you have to beat Monday. Wednesday, you have to beat Tuesday.
I like that.
Then week 4, right? That'll be your month because that'll be a full, 4 weeks. You need to, for half of that mile, commit to running between 20 and 30 seconds of a jog. I'm sorry, not run, just jog. Because now you've been doing this, you're kind of.
What's jogging? I don't know what that is.
What's jogging? Keke? What? So the jog is important there because what that's going to do is now get the other pieces of your legs and your muscles really involved. Because when you're walking, sometimes you could be a heel striker, but when you're jogging, you want to be more on the balls of your feet. So that's an important piece right there. And just challenge yourself. And that's what I would say for the first month. That whole process right there of just walking a mile, you will see the progress that's being made, which will ultimately lead you to whatever Mike is going to tell you right now.
Yeah, so I love that. The other thing that works for me that I'm just assuming may work for you is, like I said, have a Fitbit or something that tracks your steps, because like we've talked about, feedback is important and you feel like you're accomplishing something if you see it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, if something physically says, could be wrong, could be more than you actually walked, but it works. You do that, but also go on YouTube, Google anything and everything, or go on YouTube and look up anything and everything diet-wise. Just learn more about food. I think food is the quickest way to get to where you want to go. And for me, learning more about food and learning about details and adding layers of knowledge helped me be more disciplined because I'm more aware. So there are traps, and I'm aware I'm eating a cookie, and I'm aware what happens to me when I do it. And just by being more aware, you're more likely to make a decision not to. When you don't know what's going on, you have no shot because you're just grabbing stuff you have no idea what it's going to do. So I would say, and it could be very base level.
Yeah.
Jump on a type of diet that you think works, you like, and then you recalibrate after your timeline a month and see what worked, what didn't work, and then go from there.
Beautiful. And food always complements working out.
Yeah.
But that's awesome because we just gave her 2 pieces of advice.
Yin, yang,
that's
shake,
right, baby.
bake.
So let's read the last one here. And this is from Britt. And she, right off the bat, I haven't listened to every episode yet, so you may have touched up on this already. If so, never mind. I have a few questions on how to change bad habits. Habits episode. One big one is that I always snooze, literally. I'm always running late in the morning since middle school, high school, every job I've ever had. It's bad. Not to blame this or make an excuse, but I do have an autoimmune disease, which I do have chronic fatigue, and I've always found my energy levels are higher at night, hence why I've always worked out at night. But now that I'll be commuting for a period of time, I really want to change this about myself. I don't like it. I hate not being put together, not having time to get myself ready or grab a coffee if I wanted. And I'm embarrassed by it, but I never seem to change it. Do you have suggestions on how to make this switch? Listen to every episode of the No Snooze podcast. Thank you.
Done.
No, so I think that's a great question.
Yeah, I would say get more organized because if you're more organized, you create more time. So maybe you don't have to wake up earlier. Maybe you just have to be more organized. Maybe you have to have a nice coffee in the fridge versus make a coffee. Maybe you have to, have your clothes picked out the night before. Maybe there's things that you could do, not just wake up earlier. That'll help.
Okay.
Instead of fight the problem, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Try to
identify it.
Yeah.
I have a couple things here, and the first thing is remove the past. So she's like already talking about like middle school, high school. Like I've always done this. I'm embarrassed by it. Okay. Step one, let's remove that. Mm-hmm. Okay. How do we move forward? Now that you're going to be starting, she said she's going to be commuting somewhere, so it's probably starting a new job or something like that. This is a new opportunity to flip the script. Mm-hmm. So you might have higher energy levels at night, and I really don't want to get into the whole, I'm not a doctor here, so I don't want to talk about an autoimmune disease, and that could be something a little bit different. But how bad do you really want to wake up, right? And again, I know it sounds typical.
Yeah.
But if you were going on the trip of your lifetime, Britt, would you have a problem waking up to go catch that flight?
She may.
What?
She may.
Would you snooze on that, though? Would you actually hit the snooze button? So it's putting yourself in that mindset. And this could be, again, repetitive to people who have heard all of this, but this is something very specific here. You don't want to hit the snooze button. So are you doing what Mike said in terms of putting it away from you? Now I'll get, right?
That's my favorite.
But that's fine,
Still
and
works.
it works.
Drives
now
Dana
let me get
nuts.
scientific for you. And again, not a scientist, but here, let me give you some facts. And Mel Robbins literally talks about not hitting the snooze button.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see your reaction to this, because this is scientific facts.
I'm smiling because every time you say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist.
I'm not. I'm just a little bit of it all.
In my head, I'm thinking of all the people watching be like, I thought he was a doctor.
You're shot. So the science behind your sleep, right? And some people argue it's 60-minute cycles. Some people argue that it's 90 or 110 minutes. It's somewhere in that time frame of a cycle of sleep. So what you're physically doing is when you hit that alarm and when the alarm goes off, you're now in a waking stage. So your body is now awake from that previous cycle. As soon as you hit that snooze button, right? You hit the snooze button, you then take your brain and you trick your brain into making it think that you're going for another sleep cycle. So when you fall asleep for 15 minutes, for 10 minutes, whatever the alarm, I feel like a snooze alarm now is like 9 or 8 minutes or something like that.
It's quick.
Right? It's just a weird time frame.
I wouldn't know, I've never
But whatever it is, you're tricking your brain into thinking that you're going back to sleep.
Yeah.
Now you're only 8, 10, 15 minutes into a sleep cycle before it goes off again. And what that does is it actually has a term. It's called sleep inertia. right? Mind blown.
Are you sure you're not a scientist?
I'm positive, but it's called sleep inertia. And maybe this science piece will work for somebody like Britt, because if you can't do the typical thing, maybe it works. Yeah. But why would you want to put yourself back in a space of, okay, now I'm sleeping for 15 minutes, now I'm into this cycle, and I'm tricking my brain to where I can't be productive. The science behind it, though, too, is that for 4 hours of your day moving forward, your body is still trying to catch up. So why would we ever really want to do that? I get it that it's challenging, and when it's right there, my wife still likes to snooze, you know, but she doesn't even really go back to sleep. She likes to just sit in the bed, which is fine. Yeah. But at least she's like awake on it. But when people really go back to sleep, it's detrimental to your morning.
I would say another thing to add to that is try to trick yourself. If you like doing something, put it in the morning so that you're more apt to get up. Like you're saying, you take this trip, but if, say, one of the things you love to do is look through a magazine, whatever magazine, tabloid, make it so that every morning you have 15 minutes to look through that. Then you're more likely to get up and start the day. Like, I love having my cup of coffee in the morning. And
I love having my 50 ounces of Essentia.
Exactly. So you look towards things, and then eventually you'll love going to the gym. But to start, do something small that you love doing in the mornings. And if you don't get up in time, you won't be able to do it. Whatever that is. I don't know what that is.
Can we do it for one day? Let's not look 10 days down the line. Don't get overwhelmed by that whole process. Commit to one day. Trick yourself before you go to sleep that I have this huge trip coming up. I have that. Whatever motivates you, that's what you have to.
This is Britt, yeah. Britt, send your number to the DM and we will text you an emoji.
What's wild is
that'll get you up.
That's right.
Because then we'll just keep sending it until you answer.
Until you answer.
It's a good idea.
Hold the
and we'll create a group.
All right, so this will bring us to Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes. We had some feedback that people said we are getting so big time we should have our own.
That's right. We need like sound effects.
Soundboard.
So if you're in sound effects and all that graphics.
See, we have an audio-visual guy.
I don't think he can do that. That's too far out of his lane. He's working on it already. Yeah. All right. And this goes to the mentorship. I'm looking at you, kid.
This is a small pod, and if you ever plan me this close again, I'll put you.
But this is something
I'll
too.
Put you to sleep.
This is and when I listen back to these epis, I was saying it before. I'm a little too passionate, I might say.
You think?
I might have to scale back a little bit.
No, you're perfect.
I don't know.
You're not scrawny. You're perfect.
You're not ramen noodle.
That's
Reg.
a movie
You're
reference.
Good. If you want somebody to invest in you, give them a reason to believe in you.
Wow, you hit both cameras. That was pretty good. That's
good.
There's
only one.
I like that.
There's only one camera here, Mike.
It looks like you hit both.
You hit both.
You've reflected off this.
Looking right into your eyes. Hit me, kid. Can you introduce it the right way so we don't have to cut? Just hit me.
This is Megalito's mantras.
Ito.
The best teachers are those who tell you where to look, but don't tell you what to see.
That's a good one. I get that.
It's a metaphorical.
It's applicable to exactly mentorship today.
They put you in the right direction.
Final section here. Heat on the feet. Don't kick me in the pod.
I'm looking at the pod
setup.
Don't
get crazy.
I'm trying to figure out where to put my phone.
Here, put it right on my lap here. Right here. Here we go, kid.
Oh,
wow.
Look at these.
Look at this.
Very.
Looks like CV with a navy hat.
No, this is here. It takes to the audio of this. Oh my God, my hip is going out. This is Dave in 4 months. Oh my fucking hip's cramping.
We're not even going to explain it because we need you guys to go on YouTube and check it out.
Oh my God.
So that's another Epi in the books. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
My man.
I still can't get the mantra part.
That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at NoSnoozePodcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Come on.